I think he really stood up for Nick Sirianni yesterday. Jalen Hurts can say all he wants about it's rap boys and social. I know he at least is paying attention to it. And Jalen Hurts won't respond. He won't tweet, but you kind of know he's listening. And I'm sure him and a lot of players did not like what guys like you and me were making fun of Nick Sirianni and the flower analogy and everything else. And
is a victorious Monday, Birch 365 here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Jody Mack in with you. Jeff Kerr with us today. John McMullen's flight didn't line up for him to be able to hop on with us. He will surely be back here tomorrow, helping celebrate a big Eagles win. Big in that it was the margin of victory, 44-6. Didn't see that one coming. I did think the Eagles were going to win. I think they were going to win handily. 44-6. Yeah, okay. I don't know anybody who can raise their hand and go, yeah, I had them winning by 38 points. But that's exactly what they did. And I do want to stick to that mainly, Jeff, because we are Birds 365. But Birds 365 is both present, future, and past. And I do want to go back into the past for just a second here, because I guess I annoyed Debbie Rush, one of our streamers and comments on the stream as well. Who chastised me for picking on Carson Wentz, saying, leave Carson alone, Jody. And no, I'm not going to do that. Sorry. I'm just not going to do that because I was a guy who defended Carson Wentz a lot last year. When they got off to a slow start, I said, come on, you can put this on Carson. This is more on other aspects of the Eagles. This is on the play calling. This is on the offensive line coming apart at the seams. Come on, this isn't Carson Wentz's fault. And with every passing week, when Carson played worse, I had to acknowledge that, okay, maybe I'm overly protective of this guy. Maybe I am looking at this through eagle-colored glasses, or at least Carson-colored glasses. And by the end of the year, I realized the guy was having a god-awful year, and he stunk up the joint. And I was a week, as far as I was concerned, Doug Peterson was at least a week behind in pulling Carson Wentz. I would have pulled him a week earlier than he did. And I had no issues with what Doug did and how he handled Carson Wentz last year. And when Carson forced his way out of town, wasn't the Eagles trading Carson, it was Carson trading Carson and forced his way out of town, I was perfectly fine with it because I had lost all faith and confidence in the guy, and I still have. I know that he won a couple of games in a row for the Colts yesterday, and he made some big plays, helped them get out to a 14-0 lead. But he made two god-awful decisions. I don't care what Rob Marty says. You can't throw the ball up for grabs out of your own end zone. If you're left-handed, he got bailed out a little bit by a pass interference penalty that let him get the OT, where he got to throw another pick. His strength so far this year had been he's cut down on the picks. He went right back to being old Carson Eagle style yesterday. I'm sorry. I just lost faith in Carson Wentz. Where are you at with Carson Wentz as of right now, Jeff Kerr?
So I was a guy, I really liked the pick when they made it, obviously. And, I totally thought he was going to be the franchise quarterback. I'll tell you when I soured on him. You and I would have had a great Birds 365 if this was around last year. I soured on him in 2019. I just said, you know what? I don't think this guy is as good as I thought or as Eagles fans think he is. And I think it was all they couldn't bear the fact that the guy Dallas took in the fourth round was way better than him and Dak Prescott. And I don't know when I actually turned on him. I don't want to say I turned, but I think that Patriots game in 2019, I just said, and look, he had the great finish to the year, and I defended him, but I'm like, this guy is not an elite quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's not an elite quarterback. And I just remember getting slammed for it. And I'm like, guys, I don't think they can win a Super Bowl with this guy anymore. I don't. And that's what it ultimately comes down to. And last year, I thought they should have benched him the Browns game. When he threw that pass at flat to Miles and whatever it was, and Siona, I always forget the guy's name, the linebacker on Cleveland, Siona Takataki, he picked it off, took it in the end zone. I'm like, all right, that's it. I'm done. I'm tired of the mistakes. I'm tired of the excuses. I got tired of hearing I have to be better. I was tired of Doug defending him. And it seemed like it was everybody's fault but his. And from what I gathered last year, the young players in the Eagles locker room were not fans of Carson Wentz. They just weren't. And they all seemed to like Jalen Hurts. I'm like, well, why don't we give Jalen Hurts a shot here? And they did. And, Carson, Paul is absolutely right about that. Don was right. Carson checked out. It was, I don't want to be here anymore. This is it. Like I don't care who the coach is. I don't care who the GM is. I don't care if I have the best roster in the world. I do not want to be in Philadelphia. And you can blame the toxic environment all you want, but Carson did not want to be there. Carson wanted to go back to the Midwest. Carson just did not want to be a Philadelphia Eagle anymore. So he left. Okay, I'm fine with that. But this year with the Colts, like, he should have thrown a couple picks last week in the win against the 49ers. And I've been giving him credit. He hasn't been turning the football over, but you're right. He was Carson again yesterday. In a big game, in a big spot that the Colts needed, just like over the years with the Eagles, he did not deliver. I'm sorry. I like Carson Wentz. I will stop worrying about Carson Wentz when the Eagles get that draft pick.
Right. I was surprised that he was as mentally soft as he turned out to be during the season when he got removed from the lineup. I know that it's crushing. I know that it's something that superstar quarterbacks with the Eagles that they need to have to become superstar quarterbacks never even envision. But sometimes reality smacks upside the head. And Carson Wentz did not deal with reality well in the moment or the weeks where Jalen was starting. And certainly when the season ended, when he made it blatantly obvious he wanted to be elsewhere, getting out of Dodge while the getting gets tough. That's Carson Wentz's motto. And I was really disappointed with the way that he handled his own business. I was disappointed with his play because I, like you, thought he was going to be a franchise quarterback, was going to be the Eagles quarterback for a decade. He wasn't. And I'm not bemoaning the fact that he is no longer here anymore. Jalen Hurts may or may not be a future NFL quarterback, a guy who stays in a place for 5 years. I think that's still to be determined. Some people have already made up their mind that he's not good enough. I don't know anybody who's already made up their mind who says, oh, he's the guy. There are many more that have said, not, I'm dead in the middle, and I have no problems whatsoever being there. You've got all season to do that. You don't have to make Deshaun Watson is not getting traded tomorrow, folks. For those of you who say they got to make the decision because he's not going anywhere. He's not going to Miami. He's not coming here. He's not going to Carolina. He's not going anywhere. So if you want Deshaun Watson, you'll get your shot at him at the end of the season. You can't draft anybody from college football in the middle of the season either. So it's Jalen's job the rest of the year. Let's give him the whole year to prove what he is or isn't. Those who, you got to make it. I've seen enough. He can't play. He's not an NFL quarterback, or he's the next Lamar Jackson. He's neither of those things. He's still a TBD, to be determined. And I'm perfectly fine with that. And I'm also fine with stating this today. As far as mental toughness goes, it's not even close between Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz. The Eagles are playing the more mentally tough quarterback. And I think you need that to win in the NFL right now, Jeff.
Oh, I think you do too. And, it's funny because I did the Saints-Bucs game after the Eagles game yesterday. And I'm in on Sean Payton's press conference. I did not expect this to come out of Sean Payton's mouth, but he did a 97 Eagles flashback, Jody. He compared Trevor Siemian to Ty Detmer and said, mentally tough. He was ready to come in. He was ready to perform. I'm like, Ty Detmer, whoa, that's a throwback. And then I'm like, yeah, well, that makes sense because, Sean Payton coached Ty Detmer. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting. And, I kind of see that. Look, compared to Jalen Hurts to Ty Detmer is insane, but I do see the mental toughness aspect of it. Like, you're asked to do something. Jalen Hurts has been throwing the football 30, 35 times a game. He throws it 14 times. Devonta Smith doesn't have a good game, doesn't get a lot of targets. I think it was McMullen that asked Jalen Hurts about, throwing the ball 14 times. He goes, I don't care. I care about winning. And I'm like, that's it. And, he gets it. And, I always thought Carson Wentz was that guy. He wanted to win games, but he wanted to win games and play well. Jalen Hurts, I don't think he cares. I think he looks at, he's the anti-Mina Kimes wins are the QB stat. Well, no, wins are a QB stat for Jalen Hurts. That's the only stat he cares about. We won the game. And that's one thing I like about this kid. That's one thing I think is going to help Jalen Hurts in the long run. I think that's what Nick Sirianni does like about him. He is tough. He has a lot of fortitude, has a lot of grit. And, it's one of those things, Jody, with Jalen Hurts. I want to give him the whole year, too. I am not sold on him as a franchise quarterback, but I also am not sold that he sucks. And he's not the franchise quarterback. And I got really upset yesterday when, they're running the ball to hide Jalen Hurts' deficiencies. I'm like, don't the Ravens do that with Lamar Jackson every single week and he don't have deficiencies? I just don't understand the mindset sometimes. Like, we went from a city where we once thought Rodney Peete, Ty Detmer, Bobby Hoying was going to be the franchise quarterback to now this guy ain't the franchise quarterback. I don't know. It must be a generational thing.
Might be. And I will say this about Jalen Hurts as well. He's a smart guy. And there are a lot of smart football players. And you talk to them after games and they give you their quotes and the like. And some guys you can just tell talk from the heart, like Jason Kelsey. He believes absolutely everything he says. But you got some guys that give you coach speak, and you can just tell that they're saying it because they know it's safe to say, that they're not giving it a lot of thought. I believe everything Jalen Hurts says. Just the way that he delivers it and the way that he talks about it, I believe him when he says, all I care about is winning. That isn't just and you'd expect a lot of guys to say that because they're trained to say that. And that's what their coach says, and they just follow their coach's lead. But I believe it about Jalen Hurts, that he'd be perfectly fine having the day that he had yesterday as long as it ended in an Eagles win. And that's the kind of guy I think you want as your quarterback going forward.
And he would say yesterday, too, he's been saying that they're close. And he said, well, they finally did some things they wanted to do yesterday. And you're going to say that when you win 44-6, and it just felt like this week, especially, I think he really stood up for Nick Sirianni yesterday. Jalen Hurts can say all he wants about it's rat poison, social. I know he at least is paying attention to it. And Jalen Hurts won't respond. He won't tweet. But you kind of know he's listening. And I'm sure him and a lot of players did not like what guys like you and me were making fun of Nick Sirianni and the flower analogy and everything else. And I really felt this whole team in general. Maybe this is part of Jalen Hurts' leadership. You know what? We're going to go out and we're going to win a game for this guy. And because we're tired of hearing this guy can't do it or this, or we're checking out on him. Well, yesterday proved, I don't care who it is. It's an NFL team. They did not check out on Nick Sirianni yesterday. Checking out on Nick Sirianni would have been losing to the Lions. And if they play well against the Chargers next week, it's the same thing. I think this team does believe in this head coach. I think this team likes what this head coach provides them. I just don't know if they have the talent or not, and I don't know if Jalen Hurts is good enough yet. But I do think they do listen to this head coach, Jody.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I here on Birds 365, I've been critical of Sirianni. I've second-guessed his play calling and certain decisions that he's made. But I have stayed steadfast on the fact that I thought the Eagles played hard even in blowout win late in the game. I thought they were still giving effort, which a first-year coach who hasn't built up any goodwill or gravitas over the course of his career can lose a locker room. I'll give you an example. Dan Campbell going forward. I know that everybody, well, not everybody, Jeff Kerr being one of them, but too many people in my eyes were giving him credit for, they hang tough. They play tough. And they did. I'm not trying to say they didn't. They're just bad. They were a bad team coming in. They're a bad roster. They played bad yesterday. Watch going forward. I fear that that's going to be the case for the Lions. I think Lions could actually go 0-17 and not win a game and get the number one pick in the draft. And if the Eagles actually believe they do need a quarterback, the Lions are going to draft a quarterback. With Jared Goff playing the way he is, I don't care what his contract is. They will eat it going forward. If there is a quarterback that deserves to be drafted number one, and there almost always is, they get pushed to the top. It happens every year. The Lions, I think, are going to get the first crack at that guy. Sorry, Eagle fans. I know as of right now, the Dolphins pick would be the number 2 pick in the draft. But if you want a quarterback, the Lions are going to get their first crack at who it's going to be. I would not be surprised if Jeff Kerr, over the next couple of months, the Lions check out on Dan Campbell. Because, and there was the possibility it could happen here with Sirianni because he was a bit of a rah-rah guy too. not as over the top as Dan Campbell biting kneecaps, but he was a rah-rah guy. And sometimes when you're losing, that goes in one ear and out the other with players, and you can lose their attention. Sirianni never had, and he surely hasn't with yesterday's win. The question is now, will the Eagles actually have some momentum that they can build on? Does this kind of game give you momentum going forward?
I think it does. And look, we want to talk about the momentum game right now. When I covered the Chargers 3 weeks ago, I'm thinking to myself, this team might be the best team in the AFC. And then Baltimore smacks on. They get a bye week. They get 14 days to prepare for a Patriots team I don't think is that great. And the Patriots beat them in LA. So now all of a sudden they're 5-4, or 4-4, I think. That's right. They had the bye week, so they're 4-4. And now I'm thinking to myself, hold on a second. Now the Eagles might be able to beat them because they can't stop the run, and the Patriots pounded them yesterday on the ground. And Baltimore did the same thing a couple weeks ago. I'm sorry. You know what? They're Charger 4-3. Again, I'm losing track of these teams with the bye weeks. So anyway, the Eagles got momentum after this week's win. Now all of a sudden you're thinking, okay, we're getting a team from LA. They're sliding a little bit. Brandon Staley was the next coming, the next Sean McVay. Now all of a sudden he's vulnerable. And by the way, they're going out east. And I know that's an old – but look, it's still going to be – what time's the game, Jody? Is it 4 or is it 1 this week?
Coming up, 4:05 game.
Okay, so it will be a 1 o'clock game for them at their time. But still, it's one of those that you could see the momentum building. And this team, they showed they can run the ball. They showed they can pound the football whenever they like. They did it against Atlanta and they did it against Detroit. They should do it this week. And if they can get to Justin Herbert a bit and not allow those big plays to Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, they have a shot. And you never know, if they get a win like that, it could turn around their season, because all of a sudden you're looking at 4-5, and you got Denver, and you got a Saints team coming up without Jameis Winston. I know the Saints are really good, but not having quarterbacks is going to hurt them in the long run. And then you get that easy part of the schedule where you get to play Giants twice and you get to play Washington twice, and you just never know, Jody. This could be like that. I don't want to call it a get-right game, but a momentum-swinging game, even though it was only Detroit.
And Jeff, here's where you and I agree. Couple people. Now, I'm not saying everybody, but some people, and to a certain extent, overreact and like to elevate players a little too fast before they've actually earned it. And there are two individuals who are coming to town this week that's the case. Number one, Coach Staley with the Chargers. Good start. Nice hire. Well-respected guy around the National Football League. Moved up the potential head coach charts pretty damn quickly. But his resume is what his resume is. That he wasn't in a power position until last year as a coordinator. That I thought that people were making him, the choice as the next NFL head coach a little too quickly. Got off to a fast start. Everybody beating their chest. See, Staley, those coaches that didn't get Coach Staley. Shame on them. The Chargers won the big battle for Coach.
The Eagles were one of those teams. Everybody was questioning that going
correct. And now that they've lost 2 games in a row, is this Staley guy as good as we think? Yeah, he's good, but don't make him Bill Belichick because he won a couple of games or because there were so many teams that were interested that interviewed him during this past offseason. Let him establish a record. Let's see what we can do in the National Football League rather than just project and predict as if you know what's going to happen at a time. And to a lesser extent, and I'm a big fan, and I was when he was at Oregon, I sat on my radio shows and said, this guy's making a mistake not coming out when he was a junior, because I think he would have been the number 1 pick in the draft, as a matter of fact. He went back to Oregon. I tipped my cap to him because he wanted to go back to school and take a shot at making it to a Rose Bowl. He felt he owed that to his teammates. It was a goal he had when he went to Oregon. He wanted to try and get there. Good for him. Guys don't make commitments like that. They all think about, let me get to the NFL as fast as possible. Let me make the most money possible. I gave him a nod for that. I thought he was crazy because I'm one of those guys. I'm going to put myself in the best position possible. Love my teammates, but sorry, I'm a number 1 guy. Justin Herbert wasn't like that. And I questioned him, but I loved him for it. So he ends up going number 6. He lands with the Chargers. Tyrod Taylor gets hurt. He gets an immediate chance to play. He had some really good games. He made some really highlight-type throws. Chargers didn't make the playoffs last year, but in listening people to describe Justin Herbert, because he was the third quarterback taken and he outperformed Tua, he outperformed Burrow because Burrow got hurt, people put him on a pedestal. He didn't make the playoffs last year, and he's gotten off to a nice start this year. Now they've lost 2 in a row, and they're not a lock to make the playoffs this year. It just annoys me when individuals in the media, not all, but just generally speaking, have to be the first. They got to have the hot take. Justin Herbert is going to be the next Tom Brady. No, well, can we wait till he does it for a couple of years before we start talking him with these platitudes? It annoys the snot out of me. I guess that's my long and roundabout, long-winded way of saying.
I got one for you. I actually saw a tweet yesterday. Well, Nick Sirianni saved his job this week. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, seriously, and people were retweeting and favoriting the crap out of it. I'm just like, guys, Nick Sirianni his fate wasn't gonna change whether he won or lost that game. Now, you and I would be talking about it on a Monday morning, where's this going from here? But no, he did not save his job with a win over the Detroit Lions. I'm sorry, he didn't. It's, I really didn't think Nick Sirianni was going to be a one-and-done coach until he got desperate and had to play Gardner Minshew. And whatever week that would have been. Or, he didn't make any adjustments, or Jonathan Gann didn't make any adjustments. And look, I hype up Justin Herbert a lot, too, because he is really good. And I thought he was the sole reason the Chargers were 7-9 last year. Big Justin Herbert fan here. But yeah, you're right. It just seems like we're overhyping everybody. I'll give you one, Jody. Your boy, Mike White, on the Jets. Robert Saleh had to open Pandora's box and say, anything's possible regarding the long-term starting quarterback. I'm like, are we really going this route right now? Is that the route you want to take after being the first quarterback ever to throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns in his first start, to be the first quarterback since Steve Young to trail double digits with 5 minutes left and win a football game in his first start? I'm thinking to myself, didn't he just draft Zach Wilson? Like, didn't Tony Romo just call Zach Wilson the next Patrick Mahomes like 2 months ago? I don't know, Jody. I just feel like we hype up everything now. It's, I'm sure I can find some obscure stat on Trevor Siemian today to get Saints fans all riled up. He's the guy. Don't get Drew Brees. Don't get Cam Newton. Don't get Nick Foles. Stick with Trevor Siemian.
Well, I'll give Mike White this much credit. I didn't see it coming. There's a reason that they traded for Flacco this week, because the Jets didn't see it coming either. No. Robert Saleh can do the best 20/20 hindsight he wants to and pump up Mike White. And more power to him. I'll say this. He's going to play on Thursday night. Jets play on Thursday night. If he wins, even if Wilson is ready, I'm giving Mike White another start. You rip off 2 wins in a row, one of which you go 400 yards, unless he has like a Jets win a defensive 9-7 struggle that he throws 3 picks in. If he's the winning quarterback for the Jets this week and has a decent game, he starts the next week for me. So I do agree with Robert Saleh there. All right, he is Jeff Kerr. I'm Jody McDonald with your Birds 365, guys. We still got a half an hour to chop up what the Birds did. Keep it right here on Birds 365.